After the Phyrexian invasion, the king and queen of Eldraine are dead. Their son, the boy king Will, struggles to gain the respect of his people. Imodaine fought valiantly during the invasion and now commands the loyalty of an army of rebel knights. Will challenges Imodaine to a duel with the condition that if he wins, she pledges allegiance, and if she wins, he relinquishes the throne. Imodaine gains the upper hand, and Rowan, Will's twin sister, intervenes. She is angry at her family's death at the hands of the Phyrexians, angry at her brother's unfounded optimism, and now angry at watching Will about to lose the throne and his life to this rebel. She lets loose a lightning bolt so powerful it surprises her and scares Will. It nearly splits a mountain in two. Her unbelievable power terrifies Imodaine, and she flees into the woods. But rebels aren't their only problem. A slumber curse was cast over Eldraine, inflicting its victims with endless sleep. Will and Rowan must find a solution if they hope to rally their people behind them, but they find themselves unable to access their planeswalker abilities, making their search for answers difficult. Meanwhile, in a distant village, Kellen, a teenager suspected of being part Fey, faces bullying because of it. Kellen never knew his real father. One day, as he is traveling through the woods, Kellen is transported to the magical realm of the Fey and meets their queen, Talion. She offers him answers about his unknown heritage if he defeats the cursed witches she says are responsible for the ongoing slumber: Agatha, Hilda, and Ariette. Kellen agrees to embark on this quest, and as a parting gift, Talion gives him 2 wooden hilts, although he is unsure of their purpose. Rowan ventures off into the wilds in search of answers. Thanks to a tip, she is directed to an abandoned castle. The castle is ransacked, save for some undead. After wiping them out, she decides to rest and drifts off into dreams. She sees her father and mother, and they say to her, "Come to Castle Ardenvale. Your blood awaits you there." Kellen's quest finds him in Edgewall, asking townsfolk what they know of witches. Kellen meets Ruby, who tells him, "You should really stop asking about witches. They probably won't like that. But if you want to find them, go to Dunbarrow. My brother Peter would be able to help you. But I haven't seen him in days." Kellen convinces her to come with him. "If you help me find the witch I'm looking for, I'm sure my liege could help you find your brother." Kellen fails to mention his liege is the Fey Queen. Ruby agrees to accompany him on his quest. They venture into the wilds together. They are ambushed by a knight in wolf armor. They run for their lives and soon come upon a pack of witchstalker wolves who will tear anyone magical to shreds. Kellen and Ruby are able to run past them without alerting them. The wolf knight is not so lucky, and the witchstalkers chase him off. In the confusion of the melee, they hadn't noticed it before. A cabin, clearly magical. They slink up to the windows and inside find a witch circling her cauldron. Imodaine is tied up. The witch Agatha intends to cook her. At the same time, from out of the woods, the wolf knight returns. Covered in blood, he had managed to fight off the witch stalkers. Kellen sneaks inside to save Imodaine, and Ruby is left outside to fight off the wolf knight. Kellen shoves the witch into her bubbling cauldron, killing her. He unties Imodaine and begs her to help fight off the wolf knight. "Ruby, I found you," the wolf knight says. He removes his helmet. "It's Peter, Ruby's brother. I think the witch had enchanted me. I'm sorry for attacking you," he says. They work together to carry the cauldron as evidence they had defeated the first witch. As soon as they leave the cabin, they are in the realm of the Fae once more. Talion informs them that the key to finding the next witch, Hilda, is the magical mirror Indralon. It was stolen from Castle Vantris by a giant. If they wish to find it, they must climb to the top of a nearby beanstalk. Rowan climbs the steps of the half-destroyed Castle Ardenvale and is met by some of her former comrades. They are surrounded by a swirling violet mist, the Slumber, and it compels them to attack her. She fights them off, trying to cause as little damage as possible to her former friends. Suddenly, the Slumber-animated soldiers all drop to their knees. Rowan is now face-to-face with the nightmare planeswalker, Ashiok. But they are not the one producing this curse. Ashiok introduces Rowan to the witch, Ariette. She reveals she was the one who offered Rowan the vision, beckoning her to Castle Ardenvale. Ariette respects Rowan's power and reveals that she is Rowan's aunt, her blood. Ariette understands Rowan's anger and wishes to reunite the realm as well. She believes the Slumber is the tool to do so. While under the Slumber, the curse of Eldraine dreams sweet, peaceful dreams. And in her own way, Ariette is keeping them safe and happy. Rowan is convinced. Imagine what she could accomplish with an army of sleepers at her back. "Will you teach me?" Rowan asks. Kellen and Ruby follow their hired guide, Troyan, up the beanstalk. Peter stays behind. He is too injured to help. Once through the clouds, they come upon the castle Stormkeld, home to the giants. Kellen and Ruby are like mice to the giants, and they intend to sneak in. There's a party going on inside, and they dodge in and out of dancing giants, narrowly avoiding getting crushed. Suddenly, Kellen is lifted off the ground by his cloak, but Luna is very wary of her intruders, as in her experience, small folk are usually up to no good. "We just need to ask the magic mirror a question," Kellen says. "I've been given a quest by the Fey Lord, and I need the mirror to figure out where to go next." Yorvo, Lord of Garenbrig, a guest at the party, sees this exchange. "I don't think there's any harm in showing them the mirror," he says. Kellen asks the mirror where to find Hilda, and they are shown a castle atop a rocky cliff. "Loch Larent," Ruby says, "but it wasn't icy last time I was there." When Kellen and his band of adventurers travel back through Edgewall, it is obvious the slumber is spreading quickly. The dozens of victims have quickly grown to hundreds. They meet up with Peter once more and he agrees to take them to the Ice Queen. He warns them the cold is likely to be unbearable. As they pass through town, they come upon a puppet show, reenacting Kellen and Ruby's bravery defeating Agatha the Witch. They realize they are becoming heroes to the people and must press on. They begin their travels adorned in their thickest cloaks. Loch Larent is still a day's travel away, and already the cold is overtaking them. As they approach the castle, a voice is carried on the frigid wind. "Turn back, or else." As she speaks, the air gets colder. Hilda summons a giant warrior of ice to fight them back. All this time, Kellen couldn't figure out what the Fae's wooden hilts were for, and in his moment of desperation, as he was about to be struck down by the ice warrior, the hilts shine golden through the swirling snow and become swords. He cuts through the ice warrior and fights them off, but the cold is too much and he collapses. Ruby picks him up and trudges through the snow with Kellen in her arms, still marching towards the castle. "This is pointless, just turn back," Hilda says. "You will die here." But Ruby keeps marching. Hilda comes out of the castle to meet them. The loneliness in her eyes is clear. She is inspired by these young people's bravery and persistence and is reminded of what she gave up by locking herself up here all alone. "Be welcome in winter's home," she tells them. Hilda plants a kiss on Kellen's frozen forehead and she runs her fingers through Ruby's hair. "When you both awake, you shall have the truth," she says. When they awake, Hilda has laid out a feast for them. They are skeptical of her intentions, but Hilda has agreed to give up her power, and the castle is already beginning to melt. The sun is shining brightly over the land. She hands them her crown as evidence of her defeat. Hilda informs them that the three witches laid the curse of Slumber to help fight off the Phyrexian invasion, but Talion, the Fey Queen, helped cast the spell, and it was Ariette who ensured the curse would continue after the Phyrexians were defeated. Talion is using Kellen to clean up her own mess. Kellen storms into the Fey realm with Hilda's crown to confront Talion. "I thought you knew my real father," Kellen says. "You lied to me so I would do your dirty work." Talion is unfazed. "Fey cannot lie. I do know your father, and I will tell you what I know of him if you complete this quest. Or will you refuse to save the realm because you do not like the reason it is being saved? Ariette is at Castle Ardenvale. Defeat her, and the curse will be lifted." Kellen realizes he must pursue this quest regardless. Kellen and Ruby sneak their way into Castle Ardenvale, and it is surprisingly quiet. They stumble upon Rowan and are relieved to have found an ally. Even the country folk know her. She probably figured out how to stop the curse, same as them. They ask for her help, but she doesn't look herself. Sparks raise from her hands, and Kellen's vision goes white. They awaken in a cell, and Rowan is nowhere to be seen. They can hear a commotion in the castle and manage to untie themselves. Will's knights have arrived to storm the castle. Ariette tries to hold them off with her sleeping army, but she's on her own this time. Ashiok has since left her behind. Imodane, the rebel warrior, now fights with Will to try and retake Castle Ardenvale. Will sees Rowan fighting on behalf of Ariette and is in disbelief. "I'm learning how to save the realm," Rowan says. "Please come home," Will begs. Rowan charges. Home is gone. She tries to fight her brother and he is overtaken with sadness. "I'm sorry I didn't help you when you needed it," he says. Rowan glances back to see Ariette being attacked by Ruby and Kellen. Ariette doesn't have the strength to control the sleeper army and fight them off. Rowan immobilizes Imodane and continues to pursue her brother. He is not fighting her back, simply delaying her. Ashiok has returned and is now controlling the sleepers. They are turning the tides in Ariette's favor, but Kellen joins the battle, his hilts now a whip. He goes after Ashiok. Will throws an ice bolt, but Rowan easily dodges it. But she was not his target. The bolt strikes Ashiok, held in place by Kellen's whip, dead in the center of their chest. Ice spreads through Ashiok's body, and they disappear in a puff of smoke. And now, Ruby has her blade pressed to Ariette's throat. She is taken prisoner. Rowan realizes it's over, but she can't go back to her old life. That has passed. She uses the last of her power to escape the battle. In Rowan's mind, although Will has assembled an army here, he has no hope of reuniting Eldraine. He is weak. "I'll be back to bring the slumber to the rest of Eldraine." Will thanks Ruby and Kellen for their help and says, "You are welcome in my palace anytime." Ruby revels in her victory while Kellen slips off to the Feyworld. Some time has passed and Kellen returns home. He is happy to be back in his quaint hometown. He speaks with his mother and says the Fae did not tell him much of his father. He wished to hear the story from her. She reveals she met a mysterious man and they fell in love. He spoke of other worlds different than Eldraine. Kellen's father was none other than the planeswalker, Oko. Kellen is restless that night and wanders off with the family dog. In the woods, they find a portal to another plane. Kellen steps through it. Ariette awakes in her cell. Ashiok is standing over her. "Where's Rowan?" Ariette asks. "She is not ready," Ashiok says. "Opportunity calls us in a different direction for now." When the guards come to check on Ariette in the morning, all they find is an empty cell.